Kendre Miller talks offensive woes versus the Green Bay Packers and correcting mistakes. Ladies and gentlemen, today it is the day before we're filming this. This will probably go out on Christmas. So happy Christmas. Merry Christmas. I hope you're enjoying your time with your family and friends, whatever you decide to do. I guess watching this video. Well, we're going to listen to Kendre Miller in the post-game after the Green Bay Packers' complete annihilation of the New Orleans Saints. And this is part of a bigger conversation, I think, kind of how fans or analysts or even the team kind of is evaluating these young players in this kind of fascination with mediocre players, with mid players, and seeing them as like cornerstones of the franchise. So we're going to talk about that and the backdrop. New Orleans.football is presenting the videos, so go subscribe to them per usual. Great content.
Sustained drives on offense in the first half. You know, how difficult is it to get into a rhythm? You don't get a lot of plays, and they're sustaining drives 2 weeks in a row in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like really tough because I mean you practice so hard every week, and then to barely get, like you said, drives, it's kind of frustrating. But I mean, no excuses. Like when we out there, we got to take advantage of it. So we gotta go back. We play Sunday, so we just gotta go look it and get the corrections done and get back to it.
Was that kind of the plan for Jordan to get the 2-minute situations, or how did that work out?
Yeah, it was just kind of like what we had going.
Yeah, so a lot of people were confused on why Mims was in the high tempo, the 2-minute situations, whatever. We knew this going into the game that Kendre is not. He's not. I mean, I was going to say he's not a good pass blocker, but he's not even, not good is an upgrade, but he cannot pass block. So we talked about this on stream, but in that situation, the Saints aren't substituting players. They're going fast, it's up tempo. Because he cannot pass block, they have to have someone else in there for those possessions. Because if they do call a play that the running back has to stay in and protect, he can't do it. So they let Jordan Mims do it, or Jamal Williams. In this case, it was Jordan Mims. And that's not good, right? And Nick Underhill tweeted this during the game. But he said the thing with Kendre is he still needs to learn a lot of the nuances of the offense, protection, details, whatever. That's why his role is limited. So during the game, just looking at the stats, Kendre had 8 carries for 15 yards and a 1.9 yards per carry, which is absolutely horrible. He had a long of 10, so he had 7 carries for 5 yards. If you take out that long of 10, and this is the bigger talking point, I think. And I hear a lot of this on Twitter or in my comments or during the live stream. These questions get asked, but it wasn't too long ago, ladies and gentlemen, and too long ago I mean last week, where there was a real conversation of. Kendre Miller is the franchise back. He's the future back. He is the next Alvin Kamara. He should be the guy moving forward. And he hasn't done anything. Has he even gone over 50 yards in a game? I guess it's one of those things where fans and analysts and the team or whatever is so desperate for talent and so desperate for good players that we are hyping up and we are putting a lot of stock into relatively mediocre players. I mean, before the season, when Alvin was doing his holdout, before the season, there was a legitimate conversation of let Alvin walk, trade Alvin, because we are ready to go ahead and let Kendre Miller be the franchise guy. And you hear this with Kendre. You hear this with Rashid Shaheed. You hear this with Mason Tipton. You hear this with Bub Means. You hear this with Brian Brzee. The list goes on and on and on. You hear this with Kool-Aid McKinstry. We are very quick to anoint these players as the next franchise guy, the next A-plus player, the next, build the statue. Can MVS be the next Marcus Colston? Can Jake Haener be the next Drew Brees? Can Brian Brzee be the next whatever? And the fact of the matter is, they're average players. And we have to quit hyping up and investing and whatever and average if we want to be a good team. And this is a great example of it. Okay? We are deep into the season. Deep. We have seen a lot from these guys. And I keep saying this, and it sounds mean. It sounds like I'm being the Grinch. But I don't think Kendre starts at Ohio State. I really don't. I do not believe he starts at Ohio State. Does he start at Boise State? Okay? Probably not. Probably not. Same thing with these wide receivers. Dante Pettis, MVS, Mason Tipton, Bub Means, Rashid Shaheed. Do those guys start at Texas? No. Do they start at Ohio State? No. And I'm not saying Ohio State would beat us. I'm not saying anything crazy like that. But the fact of the matter is, this team has to get better. This team has to get more impactful players. They have to get, we have to get NFL starting level players. And I know we have a bunch of injuries. I know we're deep into the depth chart. I understand all that. But if this team wants to truly compete, if this team wants to be a legitimate force moving forward, we have to fill, because we're going to go through in the next couple of years, we're going to go through a lot of turnover. We're going to have players retire. We're going to have players just be either released or cut or traded or whatever. We have to replace those players with all pro level players, with impactful level players, with rookie of the year level players. Sounds crazy, right? But it's happened before, 2016, 2017. 2 draft classes where we filled it up with all pro level players, impactful players, rookie of the year type players. We got to find gold again. The days and the time of the Bub Means and the Mason Tiptons and the, whoever, I ain't going to get it. It's not going to get the job done. The Green Bay Packers game was as much of an NFL team and the Packers playing a USFL Canadian Football League team in the Saints. And that's it. Said it during the stream, said it after the stream. The product that the Saints are putting on the field is not an NFL level product.
Going into the game plan, mostly, yeah.
Why do you think that? I don't know. Like next 2 weeks, like could that be you? Like when he's out and to kind of maybe get into some of those packages.
I'm not really sure. He just had more reps of it throughout the whole season and even training camp. So that was just kind of the game plan going into the week.
How do you feel? Obviously, physically staying on the field has been an issue. How do you feel right now?
I honestly feel good. Just a little frustrated because, just a frustrating loss.
Was the change on kickoff, is that just to try and avoid injury on because you're filling in for Kamara? Or?
I'm not really sure what went into that. My number just got called, was up, so I'm sure somebody may have went down. I'm not really sure what happened with that.
What's kind of your personal goal just over the next 2 weeks, outside of team success, just for yourself? Like, what are you trying to show? What do you want to put on tape?
Just finish out strong. I don't know what's going on with Alvin's situation or none of that, but what I can control is how I play and how I'm dialed in, and I just want to finish out strong with everybody in the locker room and finish the season out on a good term with everybody.
And let me say this, because I like Kendre as a backup. I think Kendre's a good backup. I think he's a dynamic player. I think he adds a lot to the running back room, for sure. And same with some of these other players I'm mentioning. Dante Pettis. I like Dante Pettis. I think he's a fantastic returner. I think he's been way better than what we've had back there before. MVS, good deep threat, whatever. But we're asking these players to do something that they are not either ready to do or, and Rattler's included. Like the conversation of should we move forward next year with Spencer Rattler as a starting quarterback? I love Spencer Rattler like a brother. What in the world has he shown you that makes you think you could go into an NFL season, start the season with him as the starting quarterback? That is bananas. Should he be on the roster? Absolutely. Should he be developed? Absolutely. Should he get reps in training camp and preseason and all that? Yes, 100%. We are way too quick to go from developmental player, average level player, mediocre player to, all right, I've seen enough, make him the franchise. It's like, well, hold on a second. Hold on. I mean, just wait a minute. Like these guys have to develop. These guys we have to have, and I know a lot of it is injury, like Kendre. Like Alvin is the starting running back, right? Kendre should not be in the starting role. I understand that. But there was a lot of conversation before the season of, I've seen enough, we're ready to roll. And he had a career, I think, at 130 yards going into the season. So when we're talking about like forecasting out what the Saints need to do, and forecasting out what this roster looks like, and forecasting out how we can fix things, like how we can turn the ship around, how we can make the Saints back to a legitimate team, a legitimate contender. The answer is not, Mickey Loomis or Gail Benson or whatever. Like the answer isn't fixing any of that. The answer is simply bringing in more players and getting more talent and landing these draft picks. And with Talise Fuaga, with Rattler maybe, with Kool-Aid maybe. Like maybe we started that last year, but you can just see it now with the turnover, with the injuries, with players being traded. You can just see it. Players getting older. It's just time for an influx of talent. It's time for something new across the board. It's time for just a player that can take over the game, and it's hard to watch because the product really is kind of like a minor league product. If we were a baseball team, we'd be like the Athletics. Like the Athletics roll out rosters or roll out lineups and rotations and whatever, where it's just, you're looking around like, man, these are like minor leaguers. Like these are D players, C players at their max. I use Madden ratings all the time. But the Saints right now are rolling out a bunch of 68 overall players with a ceiling of 72 overall or something. And we're questioning if they are franchise guys. No. And again, like it's not a slight to these guys. It's not a slight to Mason Tipton to say, look, he probably shouldn't be your 1 or 2. We went into actual games this year with Mason Tipton and Bub Means as the 1 and the 2. And again, they aren't the 1 and the 2 at Ohio State. And they're being asked to do something that they just flat out shouldn't be asked to do. Now, you have to ask yourself, is this because of injuries? Partially, yeah. Yes. Partially, yes. No doubt about it. Partially, at a certain point, you do kind of have to put your hands up and say, like, well, what else do you want me to do? We're injured. We have to go to somebody. We have to play the game. So if we're injured 3 wide receivers deep, like we are right now, with Olave, Shaheed, and MVS out, yeah, you're going to get to the Mason Tiptons, the Dante Pettis, the Cedric Wilsons of the world. You're going to get to those players. It is what it is. McCoy's hurt. Lucas Patrick's hurt. Okay, we got to go to Connor McGovern, I guess. Shane Lemieux's hurt. All right. And that's how it happens. Like, that's how we ended up playing games with practice squad level players. So it's frustrating to watch, but it's also one of those things where it's unfortunate, but you do have to kind of put your hands up. But the team going into this offseason, I think this was a big wake-up call. I think it was a big wake-up call for the team to understand, like, all right, the core players, the players that were carrying this team, Tyrann Mathieu, Marshawn Lattimore, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Pete Werner, Ryan Ramczyk, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Derek Carr, whatever. That time is over. But the time of those players carrying this franchise is over. either because of injury, because of age, because of a combination of both. But the rest of the roster has to get better. Bottom line. And hopefully, I have a sneaky feeling this game, because it was in prime time, because it was such a disgusting performance, I think this game will be the game that kickstarts all of that. This game will be the game that kickstarts, this fake belief that maybe this team's a playoff team, maybe we can still do this, we're not mathematically eliminated, we're not that, we're not this, maybe Rizzi can do this, maybe Kubiak can do this. Like that whole thing is done. That whole thing, you don't lose 34-0 with 180 yards of offense or whatever it was. You don't do that, and then that conversation still remains. So I have a feeling this right here will kickstart wherever we're going in the future. And top 10 pick starts that. A head coaching search starts that. But it's ugly. It's ugly. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Enjoy your Christmas. And I will see you in the next video.